Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. So, Capricorn, welcome to the channel. It's wonderful to have you here. Tonight we have for our card, every reading while I'm setting up, I pull a card just to kind of get a sense of like what the atmosphere might be like. So we have the Nine of Cups, which is happiness, right? Things coming to fulfillment. Not only that, there is like that real aspect of pleasure and enjoyment and bliss and maybe even a sense of like ecstasy. Now, in the sense of, right, I'm talking about like spiritual ecstasy, maybe, maybe actually like physical, fully being immersed in the moment, right? To be super connected to something. It doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be about love in the romantic or eros sense. It could also be, love for a hobby, love for your family, love for the work that you're doing, whatever that might be. All right, so I want to, first before I turn this thing, I want to point this out. It looks like the eye to me. Okay, so immediately the tea leaves are telling me that you really need to keep your eye out because there's something that wants to be seen. There's something trying to get your attention, Capricorn. So let's go ahead. We're going to turn this thing. We're going to see if we can figure out what that might be. What is it? What is trying to get your eyes on it? Okay, I'll lift this up and then we're going to take a look and see what our tea leaves have to say. And so I also just want to go back a little bit and tell you and say to you, I appreciate you greatly. Thank you for clicking on the reading, on the video. You maybe have seen tea leaf readings before. Maybe you've even seen my tea leaf readings. If that's the case, well then you're an expert. You know what's going on. Now, if you're new to tea leaf reading and new to the channel, I will say that I don't read in the most conventional way. I kind of have established my own relationship with my scrying, divining, and so on, as any practitioner will over time, right? So maybe you will see things and you'll say, well, Lenor, that's not the meaning that I got from it. And you know what? I welcome that kind of variety. I think it's so important that we use this as a tool to contemplate whatever issues or themes come up in the reading. It doesn't have to be so finite. It doesn't have to be like, well, this is, the apple means this. I saw it in a book. And if it says it's in a, if it's like, usually it's health, right? If I saw it in a book, that's what it is, and it's not, that's not always the case. That's not really what reality is like. So here we go. I want to start up here. We have a person standing right here. You can see here's the head, here's the upper body, and here are kind of the lower legs and maybe the feet. Now holding on to what looks to me like a large flower. Okay, we kind of like picking flowers from the garden to smell them. And behind that person, we have another person, it looks like, but with butterfly wings. Okay, and you can see here would be the head of the person and here would be the body of the person. And so standing next to each other. Now beneath, it looks like we have a large bird. You can see right here. And it also looks like it has the solar disc on its head. So we're going to call this a hawk or a falcon. I can never remember. Is horse a hawk? Is horse a falcon? When I look it up, it says that it it varies. I guess I've always thought of horse as a hawk, personally. So we're going to go with hawk here. Now, the hawk is a high-flying bird, right? And the high-flying bird, or the raptor, is a predator, of course. But what I find so interesting about them is their ability to see so far away. They can look out across the whole kingdom. They can see everything miles and miles away. They have very keen eyes, so they can also see the little fine details. So when we see this, it really tells me that there is this real airy energy, this razor sharp perception, this ability to notice patterns and movements and routines and, you know, just the coming and going of the world around, and really seeing something from a perspective that very few do. Okay, so that seems quite important. We also have the number 333. So if you're into angel numbers, we have the number 333. And if you are somebody who maybe is just looking for a special number for the day, that might be it. Okay, so we have repeating threes. Now, the people up here, I believe wholly and truly that you have a partner, or you will have a partner that you are growing with. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are growing into each other, or you're becoming this, like, you know, codependent, you can't tell where one ends and the other begins kind of thing. But I see you parallel to one another, both evolving as beings. I see you finding, being with somebody, exploring the universe, exploring self, and feeling safe, standing next to somebody who can understand you because they themselves are going through their own spiritual journey, and they are as resolved as you are. This is somebody who doesn't squander life. This is somebody who, you know, most of the time, now I won't say all of the time, but most of the time, you feel very inspired by. Now, do you both go through it sometimes? Yeah, of course. Not every day is, you know, a wheatgrass shot in the morning and, you know, a 10-mile hike and, you know, some keto lunch or whatever. Like, yeah, not every day is like that. Maybe not most days. But there are times where everything really just aligns, and your vision of wellness and the wellness work complement one another. You're a team. And on that team, you are also individuals. And you both are doing what you want to be doing. And that's why I see stopping and smelling the flower, being able to really, like, let your hair down, to enjoy your life. But to also, in the person with the wings, right? Evolve. Go through metamorphosis. Not unlike the butterfly. So, putting these things together, I really feel like you are at a place in your life where you are flying above it all, right? I feel there's such a confidence. There's a belovedness. You're smiling. A little bit. I know, Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn ascendant, so I get it. I know. I could be super duper elated, happy. And if you don't hear me speaking, you might look at me and think, oh gosh, that girl, not even girl, that woman, that old lady over there. I know, I shouldn't say that old lady over there. She looks a little twisted up. She looks like she's maybe a little angry. She looks like she's not having a good time. In my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, you know? Sometimes we just got that stone face, I think. So I feel like it's just a time of elation. It feels beautiful. There's such a, I do feel like there's such a stimulation and just inspired, happy to meet the day, enjoying your time, dancing around the kitchen, humming while you're, you know, folding clothes and raking up, you know, I don't know, or leaves falling down. Maybe in the southern hemisphere, maybe you're raking leaves up and, you know, singing your songs and just enjoying the moment. And I believe that this is a very necessary reprieve from, you know, your busyness. You're a hard worker. I've never met a Capricorn that isn't. So there is an argument, though. All of this said, there is an argument with, it looks like a good friend. And I think this takes you off guard. We have a dog right here. Oops. We have a dog right here. Here's the head. And you can see the mouth is open right here. And coming down, here's the tail straight up in the body. Okay, and this kind of, you know, we're going at it. You know, this is, we're going to have some words here. Now, over here we have this dog who's kind of laying down. And here's the eyes, the nose. But then up here it looks like head raises and mouth open. So to me, what it feels like is you're coming into a situation like, you know, any old day, and you get your head chewed off, and you're like, okay, trying to process what's going on here. All of a sudden, like, I'm coming into this super aggressive and confrontational dynamic, and you're just kind of like, okay, what's going on? And then I think, yeah, you have some words, you know, and I feel like you're going to say some things that you've needed to say. And ultimately, you know, I don't know. So we have then we have the bison. So it feels to me like there's going to need to be some kind of break here. I don't think that you are that bothered by all of this, but I believe that's probably because this is a person that you are good friends with, but you also know that they're hot-headed and you love them, and you get into these little bickering matches sometimes. I don't think it's that serious, but I think that you finally kind of are going to say some things that you've needed to say and then keep it moving. Now, up here we have the bison. You can see the American bison right here. Here is I kind of did the outline of the body. This would be the head. Here's the body, the legs. Now we have a person sitting on top. Here would be the head and the body kind of in a seated position, holding, it looks like a spear. Okay. I love the bison, American bison. It's actually it was my first totem animal. And, you know, I guess what people would call like a spirit animal, but I think that kind of pop culture spirit animal thing, it doesn't really actually encompass how deep it is to be tied to certain animals. And so if you are somebody who is working on maybe visualizations or asking for, you know, maybe this information of what is an animal or a plant or a mineral or, whatever it is that you are tied to in the natural world, right? Something that you might be kindred to. I think that this is a practice that, I think it's really important. And I have a whole variety of things that I'm attached to. And these are the kinds of meditations that I like to do within my active imagination, but also, making appeals to receive that inspiration or that information, right? Through a dream or maybe a vision or whatever it might be. It'll come to you. So it might be important for you to be doing this ritual for yourself. It seems like something that you might be interested in finding out. Every plant and every animal and, depending on many different factors, they all have different attributes and symbolisms. And, that is varied on culture and the person who is, teaching or conveying a message. The symbolisms might be different, but it is worthy work, right? To kind of research what things you might be naturally drawn to. Okay. So, the buffalo is interesting because the buffalo is a being that is usually pretty chill, kind of like a cow, right? Or even like a rhino. These are animals that are very large. They expend a lot of calories to even just kind of move around a little bit. So they're not really prone to getting wild with it just for no reason, So I'm reading this as being a symbol of great patience and intentional movement. Not only exercise, but also in the ways that you move, how you do your business, how you interact with people. You are very careful and thoughtful about how this might, right, affect other things. You're looking at the world like, it's an intricate system. Everything affects everything else, if we can perceive that or not. So I feel like you're a very intentional person, but you also are not somebody who is shy about using this to your benefit, okay? Which, maybe because I'm also a Capricorn, I don't see why that would be a big deal. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you have the ability to see it or have, any kind of anticipation or, you have learned intuitions about how things probably will go, then by all means use it in your favor. So I see you using this in the sphere of work, of collecting resources and, really building an empire for yourself. And I feel like that is something that you are quite successful at. I do feel like, and I will say this, I do feel like there will be an opportunity because we have Mercury over here, and you can see with the bird or the head, the helmet with the wings on it. It also looks like just like a bird, right? So Mercury, the messenger of the gods, right? And also very fluid, fast moving, shifting, can be kind of moody, has to make hard decisions sometimes. I feel like there is something where for your work, your business, you might have to make a difficult decision. And we have a skull here. You can see the eyes, the mouth, and this would be the entire skull. It also looks like two people kind of underneath the bison, one here and one here, kind of like pillars. So I'm reading this as you might have to you might have to make a decision that is not beneficial to other people that you work with or people that you are fond of. So like maybe you're in a industry where some of your competitors or your contemporaries, and it's a business as well. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get the clients or get the business that you're looking for. And sometimes that's not always beneficial to somebody who is working in the same field as you. And it can feel, hard, but it's business, right? And you're trying to make money and you're trying to build up your career, or, maybe you're at work and you feel some type of way about trying to like get a raise over somebody else, and you like them, you're fond of them, but it's also like, hey man, I gotta also try to make this money. So, it is kind of what it is here, right? So I feel like for you, yeah, it feels like a difficult decision, but that ultimately it's the right decision for you. And, that is your will. Right? And you must honor it. Now, let's go over here. I'm going to look at this as we have a mushroom. You can see right here. Now, maybe you are somebody who partakes in plant medicine. Maybe you are somebody who is into foraging. Maybe it is the fairies, We've been doing fairy gardens on my front porch. So we have all kinds of little fairy things going on out there. But it feels like we have a Scorpio person who is involved. We also have 36. And I feel like this is almost kind of a calling to nature. Maybe this is a place where you are. Here we go. We have a person holding up a fish. Okay, so, and a person right here who is in a meditative state, and another person kind of like helping them, it looks like, or bringing something to them. So I feel like, yeah, there's this real sense of returning to nature, maybe going camping, maybe going to like the park. Maybe you are like meeting a good friend and you guys are going for hikes every Tuesday or whatever. We also have the number 42. And I feel like this is a place where you maybe don't realize overtly that it's a super spiritual hotspot for you, but I feel like you start to realize like how calm and like the weight of the universe is like slipping off your shoulders. The more and more you go here, and the more that you are hanging out and meeting your friend and communing in these kind of out of the way places. And that feels like great happiness to me. Okay, our 3 lucky numbers. Number 84. Number 84. Number 40. 84, 40, and 94. 94. Okay, and then we'll end with our Indigo Sage affirmation cards. I've been doing this reading, and I have to say, I want to stop for a second and just say, I am putting out prayer for, I don't know who they are, somebody in the general area of the country that I'm in. I don't know how to say exactly where. I'm not going to say where. Somewhere in the general, I don't know. It's like a state away. But it struck me because I also live in farm country. But I saw that a man, he was working in his grain silo, and his wife called him and she couldn't find him. So he maybe fell into it. They're trying to find him. Like as I'm doing this reading, they're looking for this person. And I'm just praying. I've been thinking about it. If you know anything about farming, or if you've ever seen a grain silo, you know that it's a really not a good thing if you fall into it, because of, I mean, you can just imagine. So anyways, we're praying that maybe he just didn't, he left his phone and he wasn't in the barn, or, you know, whatever. If you are a praying person, please send out your prayers for this person's safe recovery and their family, of course. I can only imagine what his wife is going through right now. So I had to, it was on my heart. I had to share. So we're going to do our affirmation card, and I'm just going to stop where it feels right. And it says 39, dissolve loneliness, align with joy to receive the energetic alliances you have pre-agreements with. Yeah. I feel like there are people in my life, for real, that not only do I feel like they're my soulmates in, you know, different ways, and I'm a believer. We have many soulmates throughout our lives. But there are people that just feel like charging stations. I don't know how else to say it, but like when I get to kick it with somebody that I can really talk to, I can sit and we can really get into it, and we have fun and we laugh and we cry, and, you know, we just talk about whatever, you know, is like really going on, or the things we're thinking about, we're dreaming, you know. That kind of person, which is rare in our lives, that person feels like a charging station for me, because I forget myself when I get so busy with life, just like you do, right? We get into that autopilot. We're going, you know, from one errand to the next, one chore to the next, one, mom, can I, mom, you know, all these things. And let me just say, shout out to the moms. It was just Mother's Day. Shout out to all the moms. And shout out to all the kids out there too. My daughter, she's amazing. But yes, every 5 seconds, she's in that mom, you know, why does mom, but why? What is this? Mom, you know, question phase. Which is great, but oh my goodness. You know, and so anyhow, I don't know what I was rambling. Oh, yes. Sometimes you just need a recharge. You just need that moment where you step out of the flow of life, and yeah, you have that deep conversation. So anyhow, I love you all. We'll talk soon. Take care of yourself. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. Good night. I didn't hit it. I thought I hit the stop button. Good night.